Jack, everybody fitting well for the weekend, or is there still one or two issues?
No, we've got the bulk of the squad back fit and healthy, which is good. Another week's training for Scott Allan as well. Fio's returned to training. Joe should hopefully be available. So, yeah, we're in a healthier position than we were last weekend.
Fio's ready, is he?
Yeah, he's trained, so yeah, we're available to play.
Is that a relief, or going into such a big game that you have all these players fit and available for you?
I think as a manager, you for each and every game, irrespective of the cup semi-final, league game, you obviously want your full squad available to you. But it's very the case, particularly as a season recruiting Matt, Jackson and Chris has obviously helped us in terms of the depth of what the squad that we maybe hadn't had for a while. And that's coincided with a lot of players returning to fitness as well. So overall, yeah, good position, a healthy position to be in going into a game of this importance.
It's only a few weeks ago, Jack, you were there and you lost in the extra time to Hearts. What your players learned from that day that you can take into this experience that they're going to have on Saturday night?
First one and the most important one is not to have that feeling that we had back then, because it's painful and it hurts and it's sore. So that it might sound very obvious, but the rawness of that is felt very acutely by those that are involved at the coalface, if you like. So it was painful that evening for us. So we don't want to have that feeling again. We want to have the feeling of elation you get from reaching a final. So that's a big driver for us. And then broaden it out a little bit. We've had that taste and experience of playing in the National Stadium in the most strange circumstances, because there's no crowd noise piped in. Obviously, Hampden as a stadium's always been subject to debate about atmosphere, etc. Anyway, and how far the pitch is away from MD. So the very few people that are in the stadium are very far away from the players, and obviously there's no noise whatsoever. So it's slightly eerie, but we've also experienced it. Similar kick-off time we experienced before as well, so that hopefully should stand us in good stead.
Will you do anything different in preparation?
No, we lost the semi-final by the finest of fine margins in terms of how that game unfolded. So it wasn't like I wasn't happy with anything in terms of what we did in preparing for the game, and in large parts how we performed on the day.
What about St Johnstone then? They've been a bit hit and miss. It's only a few weeks ago. I think they were only a point away from the bottom of the table. And you're taking on that, by all intents and purposes, a rookie manager in his first season.
I think St Johnstone's performance over the course of the season of having the main been positive. I think that Callum's spoken about that, and I think if you are someone who puts a lot of weights and stats, I think statistically they should be in a higher position in the league. But the game isn't just based on that. But I think there's a lot to be pleased about from Callum's point of view in terms of the performance level. And although Callum's in his first management job, he's obviously gained a lot of experience previously in assistant manager roles under Tommy, and of course under Gary as well at Stoke and Millwall. So I think that experience has probably led him to believe he was in a good position to be a manager. And as I said, I think in the main he'll feel as if he's got a lot from his team over the course of the season.
And just finally from me, Jack, Neil Lennon was pretty vocal about what his thoughts on the social distancing at other grounds, and there's been a letter sent to clubs, asking them to review the protocols and ensure that they're adhering to them. What's your view on the grounds that you've been at so far this season? You've been quite happy?
Yeah, I've been okay. Apart from a lot of them are blooming freezing in terms of some of the areas you're asked to train in, but that's just me showing my age in terms of us being in areas of stadiums that we would normally be in, and we're the same Easter Road, or the way team are changing, and in the concourse underneath one of the stands. So there's been a variety of ways in which clubs have had to be creative to make sure that they can provide the necessary facilities. But yeah, I've been okay with everything we've encountered today.
Jack, you've had the majority of possession in the games you've had against St Johnstone this season. Would you envisage that being the same again come this weekend, given the setup of the two teams and the pitch, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult to say with certainty how a game will unfold and how the part of the game will unfold. I think when we go into this game, I don't pay too much attention to the previous encounters between the teams because there is a different set of circumstances and there's a different prize at stake. So the preparation for us has really just been about having a clear week, which I spoke about after the game last weekend, which is good for us, and it's allowed us to have a really good bit of quality time in the training pitch to make sure that our game plan, what we want to do in the game, is really clear for the players.
How do you, I mean, we asked Ryan about it as well, with no Celtic, no Rangers, how do you deal with that expectancy in the city then?
It's okay for us because we one of the clear ambitions that we've had from day one of pre-season is to win silverware this campaign. So we have put the expectancy, and if you want to call it pressure, but expectancy upon ourselves from that first moment of pre-season as players and staff, and we've had this constant drive towards it. It's not easy, it's tiring, it's relentless in terms of your work to do it. So now we're in the semi-finals of another cup. It wouldn't have mattered what teams were involved in at this stage. That expectancy upon us and that ambition for us to win silverware this season has been there and will continue to be there.
So one of your biggest challenges, who to leave out?
Yeah, I think that's the case most weeks for a manager. People will point to when you have a team that isn't a really good winning run, it makes it easier. But I just think that the demands of the game, particularly this season, means you will always look at what you think is best to win a specific game. I think that's become more common in the modern game as well. So I'm pleased with what we have at our disposal at the moment. The players have put in, have strengthened us, and as I mentioned earlier, we have players who've returned or returning towards full fitness as well, which obviously is a good thing.
Jack, after the semi-final against Hearts, it was you want to bounce back, you want to get back to Hampden, and Paul Hanlon said the same. How key is it then that now that you're there, you prove you can go and do this and win this big game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's big because we lost the last one. It's big because we want to get to the final. I've been in a few semi-finals now as a manager. That was the first one I think I'd lost as a manager, a semi-final, and it's sore. I said that after the time. It's sore and it's painful, and again, the choices for us was not wanting to get there again for fear of having that pain or having the drive to get there to make sure you give yourself the chance of having that feeling of elation. So for us, it's just about the game in isolation. It's about it being another step towards achieving one of our ambitions for the season.
Hibs have got to, I think this is the 8th semi-final in the last 7 seasons, so they're certainly competing at the right end of tournaments and at the tail end of tournaments. But the last final was 2016. Is it just, how difficult is it just to get over the semi-final hurdle at times?
I think it's something that every team will have a challenge with unless you have the top team which dominates, as we've seen recently. Obviously, Scottish football can happen in other countries at times as well. But it's get that last part is the hardest part. I think getting that record of getting to semi-finals is terrific. But what you then want to do is take that next stage, which is about getting to finals and then winning competitions and doing that on a regular basis. And that part of the challenge of me taking on this job as manager is to try and do that. So we completely understand the significance and the importance of the game. This is a huge game for us, and the players are really, really excited by it. I think there's a group that they mentioned about that drive from the first day of pre-season. I've had it, and the good thing is they've got a chance of achieving that goal. That's why I think that excitement around is built during the week about the game that lies ahead.
Jack, do you consider yourself favourites for Saturday's game and for the Cup?
Never really thought about it, to be honest. It's about us being as well prepared as we can to win the game, and about us making sure that we're clear on what we want to do and achieving an ambition that was set out from day one, as I keep mentioning. So completely irrelevant to me whether we would be seen as favourites, second favourites, outsiders, whatever it may be. It's just about us affecting what we can, which is about being in control of performance and hopefully being on the right side of the result.
Are you happy with the place the squad's in right now? Obviously, you had that tough run around the turn of the year, but you've picked it up since then. Are you in a good place?
I think the players have been in a good place all season. We are never going to go through a whole season without any pain or any bumps. So the key thing then is the response to it. So any bumps I've had along the way, the players' response has always been good. The recent one was the biggest one they've had this season, but the reaction again has been good. Taking 4 points from 6 after that was good. It does help the mindset going into this weekend's game. It settles the players again. I think that confidence returns. As I said, they've been in a good place. What they've done all season has been really good, and it's about continuing that again on Saturday evening.
Just finally from me, how have the new boys settled in, and are we likely to see them at the weekend?
Yeah, I've been pleased with how we've got a good group to come into here. It's not a difficult group to settle into. So that helps from a personal point of view. Professionally, I think they've enjoyed the environment as well. Both good players, all three, good players, including Matt, Jackson, and Chris, and pleased that they've all had game time quickly as well. All three will be involved in the squad at the weekend and have the opportunity to play at some point.
Jack, you mentioned you sat down at the start of the season and put the expectations and demands on yourselves and as a squad. Do you feel that obviously you started the season very well? Do you feel that the players showed very quickly they're comfortable with that? Will that help at the weekend as well? You've been in the top 3 or 4 for the vast majority of the season, if not all the season.
I think I think the important thing when you set ambitions or goals is there has to be a realism around them. I don't think you can. Well, first of all, I don't think it can just be me that sets them. It has to be a collective, and that's what we've done all the time. There has to be the buy-in from the group, players and staff, that they believe they're achievable. And once you have a common agreement on what's achievable, it helps. And I think the fact that we settled into them quickly this season, and anybody that had any doubts, I think, quickly put them aside to come into line with the people that believe, yeah, this is possible for us to be successful this season in the league and in cup. So that helped, as always. I think it helps the realism around the ambition first of all, and then when you see steps in the right direction from early in that process, I think it obviously helps as well.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks,
Good luck.
Cheers. Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Cheers. Thank you.